is check that you don't, there's not a blend, because usually when you get them from a supermarket or somewhere, sometimes they can be a blend of spices, which is fine to give your baby, but I would probably recommend treating herbs and spices as how you would treat food. So if they've never tried dill, only try dill that day. I wouldn't say try dill and parsley. You know, start combining foods after they've tried all, you know, their first tastes and things like that. But by all means, you know, definitely start adding spice into your baby's meals after they've done the first taste. So after 2 weeks, after you've started weaning, start combining things. You know, add a little pinch of cinnamon, add a pinch of nutmeg into their porridge. Go for it, because there is a massive misconception about babies and spices and weaning. I think when I say spice, everyone goes, oh my god, heat. And I'm like, no, heat, you know, spice is all of these things in the background. There's so much to do with spice. Turmeric is a really good one. It's anti-inflammatory as well. Offers some health benefits as well. So I know a lot of babies suffer from sort of wind, colic, things like that. Well, wind really, I think digestive upsets. You know, things like turmeric's really good, so it's anti-inflammatory. Things like ginger make them feel less nauseous. So yeah, so think like. Definitely, you know, in terms, and actually the most important thing is later on down the line, it will potentially make your baby less fussy. So, and I think people struggle with that. I think children go through a fussy stage anyway between 2 and 5. But you can make them less fussy. I think that's my point. You know, they're going to test your waters. They're going to test, oh, actually I had fish the other day, I'm not going to have it tomorrow. They will do that. But I think it's about really learning your baby, going with your baby's pace, and being persistent and obviously consistent as well. You know, it's just important that you know, one day you give them something and then you just forget about it, because if you forget about the ingredient, they are going to forget about it. So yeah, so it's about keeping in the loop of it. You know, by all means, do a diary, for example. If you want to have a diary at the back of your fridge, you know, have a diary where you've got different tastes and flavors that you've already given your baby, so you actually know last week what they had, this week what they have. And yeah, it really helps. I think writing things down really does help. Things are offering variety. I mean, if you're doing baby-led weaning, if you have this with fusilli or like penne, for example, they will be picking that, and you've overcooked the pasta just so that it's good enough for them to squeeze and to put between their fingers. But you know, if it's just plain pasta, they probably will try it. But if it's got something green around it, they'll be like, oh, what is that? So yeah, it's about adding colour, and again, that's the 5 senses. You know, adding colour. Think about how does it sound when they eat it. Have a go yourself. You know, when you're eating it, yeah, it's going to be squidgy. It's going to be a bit slimy. So these are all things that are going to make your baby adventurous. They're going to really provide like a really amazing flavor palette, and you know, help your baby have that great expansive palette for you. And it's easier for family meals as well when you're transitioning. So we're about transitioning at the minute, which is about 10 months, but it's easier for us because we've been giving him herbs and spices from quite a young age, that now when it comes to family meals, it's not that hard. I think obviously initially, like, I started preparing his own meals, but now I think he's obviously at a point where he's so good with flavors and textures and things like that. I don't have to worry about it. I think ultimately that's the point that parents want to get to, because it's so important and it's just less stressful, to be honest, and it's less overwhelming. I think that's the main thing. So yeah. Recipes, there's too many, but one I did the other day actually, which I really loved and I found it so versatile, was I blitzed coconut milk with cardamom and mango. I think I put it on my Instagram, so if people were following me at that point, no one would really put cardamom, coconut milk and things like that, but I play with flavors all the time. So that was really good. So mango, banana, coconut milk, just a normal can of coconut milk, and cardamom, pinch of cardamom, like I said, because a little goes a long way, and then just blend that together, and that created like a really lovely pudding. So I think that's the other thing, because it's like post-ingestive learning for little ones. They know that they're going to get a pudding, right? So for him, like, he'll be like, oh my god, pudding, as soon as we're done with his savoury. But I'm getting a bit bored of fruit myself, because I'm like, I can't keep giving him fruit, and you know, again, that's a lot of sugar, as you know. So what I try and do is I try and make a really nice sort of fruit pudding or something, but I try and make it in different ways and interesting ways. I think about the flavour, I think about the texture. So what I did with this one thing that I blitzed together was I added some oats to it. So the next morning he had overnight oats with this mango banana pudding. Yeah, and then I also added, so then I was like, oh my god, there's so much of it, because it's like a bit of a smoothie. I added chia seeds to it, so then he had, like, you know, in a couple of days he could have had this as like a pudding or like a breakfast, like a chia pudding breakfast. So I'm really loving things like that, whizzing things together with coconut milk. I'm just obsessed with coconut milk at the moment. I think it's a really good medium, because it's sweet, it's creamy, it's got really good nutritional benefits, it's wholesome. So anything goes with coconut milk. All spices go with coconut milk. What are my other favourite things? I love making stuff with couscous. I think couscous is such a good thing. The grain is such a great size. It's not too big for the baby, it's not too small, it's just perfect. And you can do so much with couscous. You can add it as like a pasta, or you can put them into like little nuggets, which I've been doing. You can make little burgers out of them. You can basically do anything. So yeah, because things like that are really, really great. But in terms of my flavour combinations, I just love herbs, and I love like spices. So yeah, so that's a bit of